Getting injured and not able to run is really, really rubbish. And no matter how smart you train and how careful you are, for many of us runners out there, it unfortunately is just part of the sport that we love. You can take all the right preventative measures, do your strength training, do your warm-up routine, and your injury can still strike out of nowhere. It's really frustrating, especially when we've built up some really good fitness. We've got a race coming up, and now we're going to have to cancel. And I can totally understand because I'm going through this right now. But don't worry, because by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly how to get yourself back up and running in a safe way as soon as possible. We're going to split this video up into 6 different parts, starting out with what to do in those first few days after an injury, dealing with the mental side of things, losing fitness, how much fitness you're going to lose, the best cross-training options out there, the best strength training and rehab options, and then finally, how to know when you're ready to get back to running and then getting back running as well. Right, let's get stuck into what to do initially. With any injury or pain going on in the body, if it hasn't improved after 3 days of rest, 3 days of no running, you're probably going to want to get at the bottom of what is going on. If you've got access to a physio or a sports doctor, they're going to be able to give you a clear diagnosis of what might have happened, what's going on, and how to get back running as well. But of course, that's not going to be available to absolutely everyone out there. So what should people do instead if they don't have access to these facilities? Well, there's lots of amazing resources online these days. My go-tos have always been checking out some YouTube channels, especially the main one out there, Bob and Brad. A couple of other ones to have a look at, Dr. Joe and Dr. Michael Rowe as well. We'll link to these down below. With a lot of their videos, they're going to have good diagnostic tests for common running injuries. Now, of course, there are limitations on this. As I said, the best thing you can do is to get in to see a sports doctor, a physio, a chiropractor, to have a professional person put their hands on your body and work out what's going on. But as I say, if you can't do that, then use those trusted resources to give yourself a good idea of what might be going on. It's also really important to stop running as soon as you're concerned about something. Running through pain really works out in the long run. So rest up, get an ice pack on anything that's inflamed, and you may want to look at also getting some compression socks or some compression garments to help improve the circulation in that area as well. But then once you've got a good idea about what you're dealing with, you can then do some research on the best rehab techniques and see what the recovery time is going to look like for you. Now, it's really important to acknowledge the mental side of what we're going through. Getting injured isn't just a physical thing. It can really mess with your head as well. You're going to have lost your routine. It feels like you're going to lose all of the progress that you've made with your running, and it's so easy to get frustrated, get down, talk negatively, and start blaming yourself as well. But what's really important here is to focus on what you can do and not what you can't, and then start to reframe your goals. So we're going to have to swap out those miles we'd normally be running and convert those into minutes on the cross trainer, or potentially some Ks on a static bike. It could be lengths of the pool or reps lifting some weights. For so many runners, it's just a little blip in the overall big picture of their whole running life, their whole running career. Chat to those around you about what you're going through. Talk to some other runners that may have been experiencing these similar injuries as well. It really does help you to realize that you're not alone and what you're experiencing is only temporary. So how long does it take to lose our fitness? Well, it probably takes a little bit longer than many people realize, but it really depends how long you've been running. As a rough guide, taking a week off really isn't going to affect anything too much. But after about 10 to 14 days, this is when our fitness will start to decline. But that's where the cross training comes in. So let's go through the best options now. So once your injury allows it, then cross training is going to be your best friend. This is essentially just a different form of training than you're used to. For people watching this video, it's most likely going to be running where you've got the problem. So now you're going to be spending some time cycling, some swimming. Not only is it going to help you with your fitness, but it's also going to be really good in helping you restore your routine, be good for your mental health as well, to get those endorphins released. It's just not quite as much fun, let's be honest. So different injuries are of course going to be aggravated by slightly different movements. So the golden rule here is you shouldn't be in any pain as you do these. Swimming is going to be the best option in those really early days, as there's really zero impact. If you have got a lower leg injury and you can't move your legs, then whacking a pull buoy between your legs and just using your upper body to move. Aqua jogging is something that a lot of runners turn to because you can use a very similar running motion to this jogging jogging in deep water with that flotation belt around you. Another very low impact form of cardio, which is really good for getting some intensity into your routine as well, is spending some time on the ski erg. You can find these in a lot of modern gyms these days. You can even sit down at the ski erg machine and just use your arms if you don't want to be putting any stress on your lower body. Now, my personal favorite is spending time on the elliptical machine, or as you can see in the footage here on the screen, this is me spending some time on the arc trainer. Now, I really like to use my chest strap heart rate monitor when I'm on here, finding my zone 2, so I know my intensity is going to be dialed in just right. Now, what I like about the machine is it just gets me moving in a similar way to running. Now, I prefer to use my arms by my side when I'm on the machine rather than hanging onto the bars. That's just what works for me. And as long as I've got something to watch on my iPad on the machine, then I'm going to be good for 1, 2, maybe even 3 hours at a time on there. Now, the other thing I like to incorporate into my training is spending time on my static bike and cycling, which I do have at home, and I bought a refurb bike on eBay a couple of years ago, and I linked that up to Zwift. Now, I find it a lot easier on here to do my more high intensity intervals, again using my chest strap to monitor the heart rate so I know that I'm getting into the right sort of zone. Now, if you don't have access to a gym, then really don't underestimate the positives of walking, again, if you're able to safely and pain-free. Great cardio, good mental health benefits, getting out there in nature, exploring, going on your usual running routes potentially as well. I usually like to take my hiking poles out with me just for a little bit of extra support as well. So how much cross training should we be doing? Well, it's quite a difficult one to answer because our heart and lungs are going to be training in a very similar way to running. So as far as they're concerned, they're getting a very identical workout. But what's really hard to replicate with our cross training is the impact that running has on our body. And that's what we want to eliminate with our cross training period, to allow our body to recover, but we need to just bear this in mind for when we get back to running, so we'll touch on that a little bit later on. But as a very rough guide, I think around 30 to 50% extra time on the cross training compared to your running would be good if you've got time for it. Again, we're talking about perfect world scenarios here. So if you're the type of person that usually spending, say, 6 hours a week running, then going up to 8 or 9 hours a week getting your cross training in is going to be approximately a like-for-like comparison to tire out everything in roughly the same sort of way. Right, let's talk about strength work. So firstly, if you've been given some rehab exercises to do by your physio or the sports doctor, or you've been watching some videos online, then make sure you do them. It's amazing how much quicker you can get back to running by actually doing these exercises. So if your injury allows, you can also bulk this out to getting a full strength training routine, and then keep that as part of your routine when you are back running. The key areas to focus on here are core, our glutes, our hips, our hamstrings, our calves. So exercises such as planks, bridges, squats, lunges and calf raises are going to be the basics that we need to be getting done here. Try to find out where your real weaknesses are, and that's where we should be targeting our time in the gym. Strengthening up those areas are really going to decrease your chance of injury returning. Another couple of really good options to consider here as well, things like yoga and Pilates. These are really good for strength and mobility work, and also got some really good mental health benefits as well. There's so many videos on YouTube to follow along to. We'll put a couple up on the screen now. And then as a final note here, remember your body is healing, so it's going to be craving a lot of really good quality nutrition. Lots of protein in there for muscle repair, plenty of fruit and veg, calcium, vitamin D if you're coming back from a bone stress related issue, and of course sleep. That's when our body is going to be doing the most amount of recovery. Get that good sleep routine going, no screens before bed, getting some early nights. Some magnesium might well help in there to improve your quality of sleep as well. And now for the best part, it's time to return to running. But how do we know that the time is right? Well, for me, I've got this 4-step process that I'm going to be gradually ticking off throughout the whole rehab phase. The first one is I want to be pain-free in daily life, just walking around. Then I want to be progressing on to doing some pain-free single leg tests. So most likely this is going to be something like calf raises or bridges. I want to be doing those completely pain-free. Next up, pain-free double leg pogo hops. And then finally, pain-free single leg pogo hops. Once you can do all of these things pain-free, is going to be a good indication that you can get out there and start your return to run program. Now, depending on the severity of your injury, you may like to do this with sessions of run and walk. And that's what I personally always do when I've had a period of time off running. Now, for a lot of people, this will look something along the lines of a 1-minute run, 4-minute walk times 6, for around about 30 minutes. Followed by a rest day, and then there'll be a 2-minute run and a 3-minute walk times 6, again followed by a rest day say, and repeating that until you're ready to get back running non-stop for 30 minutes. Keep the pace here very, very gentle. With all the fitness you've built up through that cross training, it can be very easy to get carried away in this period because you're most likely going to be feeling hopefully quite fit from all that training you've been doing, but your body is not used to the impact that running has. So patience is key. Your muscles, your tendons, your joints, they're just not going to be used to that impact that running has, so they are going to need time to adapt again. You definitely need to wait before even thinking about doing some high intensity sessions, some longer runs or some hilly runs. You want to be having at least 2 weeks of getting back to running before thinking about adding those into routine. Most likely you're going to want to keep up your cross training through this period as well alongside your running. So yes, being injured sucks, there's no doubt about it, but as I said at the beginning of the video, focus on all those things you can do and try not to focus on that one thing, just that one thing for the time being that we can't do. Be proactive, sensible, and also be kind to yourself as well. You never know, you might come out of this injury block with a newfound love of swimming or cycling or just enjoying spending some time in the gym getting strong as well. It really doesn't have to be all doom and gloom. Let me know in the comments any injuries you've had in the past and how you've gotten over them to help out the running community. That's it guys, happy cross training, get out there, keep on working hard and keep on getting it done. And I'll see you very soon in the next one.